Hello and welcome to another video. So today we'll be looking at a neutral twin golem rune deck. Twin golem just being because one of the few cards you do run is a single twin golem spell, which is just an extra line of defense for your final push. The main aim of the deck is primarily more aggro based, so flood the board with tempo in the early game and then use things like Leonardian Mage for the finishes, along with Mutagenic Bolt and Wizard of Oz. So we have a couple of games here, hopefully you enjoy those, and we'll get right into them. So we have game 1, which is against Dragon. Keeping things a bit different. And we get an okay hand, going into all our goblins along with the Witch of Sweets, which is a really nice 2-drop if you do manage to pull most of your neutrals in your opener. Because with equal or more, you end up drawing an extra card, which is nice. Especially along with the 2-2 body. We also get Wise Merman, which works quite nicely with this goblin if we need to clear something in the next turn. Fortunately, we don't really need to. So we can easily play the sweets, draw a card, and work with what we've got from there. Along with the potential to drop the goblin later on 3 with no real contesting. Fortunately with Dragon just ramping these few turns, I can really build up my tempo on board and just go for damage. So I decided instead of going Goblin Leader to just push out the damage, being quite easily able to play Goblin Leader into the next turn without any real issue. And not risking getting board cleared, so Goblin Leader would have been a good replenish. But they literally just ramp, leaving them with nothing very quickly. This game goes pretty quick. Sometimes the games with this deck will go quite quickly. And from here, if they don't have a board clear, which they don't have a board clear, but they do manage to ward me off. But with a Dance of Death, it's not going to be quite enough to deal with this. I think we total, what? 3, 7, we got 7 just there without even trying. Along with the clear, which deals 2 on its own. We can easily hit them for a total of 8 damage if we want to. So not too much of an issue with this matchup. We get a pretty easy amount of damage. We also had Mutagenic Bolt in the next turn, along with the Time Worn Mages for the Evolves for 3 more damage. We had plenty of damaging options, so not too bad. So we have game 2 against Shadow. This game was a little more interesting. We didn't get the full rush down in the early game, and we pushed more for a late game win. Starting off with a pretty poor hand. The only decent one being Witch of Sweets, which will only work if we do get more neutrals. Which we do have both Demonic Strike and Alice, so those are both neutrals. So as long as we don't draw 2 rune and then an extra rune by turn 2, we will be completely alright. Unfortunately we don't. We just draw all neutrals for the entire hand, which is pretty common with this deck. I haven't seen many neutral runes floating around, but I did spot this deck somewhere and I was like, oh, this looks like an interesting deck to play, so here we are. Trying something a little different. So the opponent does start pushing out as much as they kind of can. We do get the Mutagenic Bolt, which is just a crazy card to play against Shadow. Because Shadow can almost guarantee that they're going to swarm the board. Or they're going to play things like Dark Alice, which Mutagenic Bolt hits really hard. So they do go to the Necro Assassin. Running those interesting decks. We do go for the Alice. Just boosting, you know, the 3 cards in our hand, getting a triple boost off Alice. Being able to just kill off the Necro Assassin so we have more board pressure. Simple little plays that make a big difference with this kind of deck, getting that early board presence. I would have liked to have had more damage though. Fortunately we didn't manage to get that. Although with this play here, we do have some good options. We can go both Actress into Goblin, do a full boost to the board and evolve. Neutral is just being given such a large tempo swing that there isn't much that can't take advantage of it. If you have a couple of class cards that work well with neutral, usually you can build a nice deck around it. I am trying to get a hold of a shadow deck, so hopefully I'll be able to present that soon for you guys. The Dark Alice one. I'm just trying to fill it out a little better. And unfortunately we don't have Forest or Dragon at this stage, so I can only cover the other 4 classes as I don't have the cards to build decent decks for them, unless I decide to go into maybe budget variants. That may be an option in the future. So this match goes pretty stock standard, you know, you curve out, you clear off the board, you get as much damage as you kind of can as you go. Try and build up your board presence so it's a little higher. They go for the lurching. They pretty much do exactly what I'm doing. They counter me at every turn, leaving me with very little to my board. So I decided just to push 4 damage. You know, screw it. We got the damage, so why not? Then Demon Lord. Damn Demon Lord. So we do have Mutagenic Bolt, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, they do trade both of these here. But we get Dance of Death, which is a perfect thing to counter this. Without that draw, we would have been pretty pressed for damage, especially trying to use Mutagenic Bolt against them. But they go for the Black Swan summon, along with a Bone Chimera. Luckily we do have a couple of good things to deal with these cards. Being able to just summon out a Rapunzel is good. Getting all the damage we need to set up for Mutagenic in turn. Unfortunately they seem to have a pretty good counter as well, but then they play a full board of stuff. Great for my Mutagenic Bolt. Kind of what I was hoping for. If we could get that off, the Mutagenic Bolt easily closes the game because they can't summon anything. As long as I don't play anything, they're eventually going to lose. Because as soon as they end their next turn, they're screwed and they can only deal a max of 7 damage here. Because they can't play any boosters that they had. Which isn't too bad. So our third and final game here is against Dragon. I've been seeing a few dragons popping up lately. Just a couple dragons popping up. We start off with not great hand as well. We didn't get a couple of good hands here. We really wanted some more early game. The Alice is great. Everything else is just kind of mediocre. Not having those early 1-drop goblins or mermen, it's really difficult. And if you don't have a couple of 2-drops, it can also be quite hard. This fortunately turned out to be an okay overall curve. It just sucks that they did have a 1-drop here, making it really hard to deal with. Fortunately, we do get to the Dancer, which means it pretty much has to be dealt with. If they don't deal with Dancer, it's going to be a worse spot for them. Unfortunately, they get Rapunzel. Rapunzel's pretty good. But we counter that with our own Rapunzel and then just get rid of one of their goblins to make it harder on them. It's almost like playing a mirror, except I'm playing against Dragon, because neutral. Not that I mind a lot of the neutral cards, they're actually quite well balanced. I think Goblin Leader may need a tweak in the future, and Abyss will probably be tweaked in some way, or something for Abyss will be tweaked. Just to lower its win rate slightly. Let's see, so we get a nice little play here. Stopping their Rapunzel from being able to attack while keeping our own board. So without an evolve here, they can't actually attack with Rapunzel. So the way they plan on doing this is okay. Unfortunately, we have our own mage. She does a little bit of damage. Lets me easily trade with the board here. We're removing all Dragon's big threats for this turn. I'm leaving them with only 3 cards and no real ramp for this deck that they're playing. Unfortunately, the 2-drop damage is amazing, so we can just kill that off, and then kill them with the 4/4. Total of 6 damage and a clear, all for 5 isn't bad. We get the Sweets, Sweets gives us a draw, and then we can easily, very easily go for a 2 and 3 drop. Or just 2 and 2 drop as options. Make Unica a little hard to clear. Always the best way to use Unica. Unfortunately they didn't have a board clear. Even if they did, I would have probably been alright. I had all the pieces to pull back. So I decide just to hit face and then trade into the Unica here. Trying to whittle me down so they can kill me. Which isn't quite enough for them. I mean, I can ping the 3 damage, ram it with the 2, deal 5 plus 4 for 9. 9 total damage. Turn 8. And then they can save for me. Alright, so that's the Twin Golem deck, basically. It's mostly, like I said, just named for that one Twin Golem that you're running as extra. Don't really need it, I rarely used it, but I haven't played enough games with this deck to find a use for it, personally. Overall, this is a pretty standard neutral deck, taking in a few of the burn spells, along with the Wizard of Oz combo cards, which work nice with the Mutagenic Bolt, which is a good thing to clear different things. Personally, I don't see this deck being top tier. I'd definitely rather play Earth Rune Burn over this deck. But it's just a fun little deck to play. If you're looking for something that you already have most of the cards for in general, when it comes to all of the neutral cards, if you've built round neutral, you can easily play this Rune deck. So it's quite a good option. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to smack that like button and subscribe. Check out the deck list in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.